Intel's $20 billion investment into Licking County caught in a political back and forth that goes right to the top.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money.
Local mayors react to the president's comments about CHIPS Act funding and the concerns they're voicing this week in Boomtown. Plus,
I want to make sure that as these outside influences come to our doorstep, that we have voices that are willing to speak loudly and strongly in favor of preserving our identity and our footprint and our values.
the mayor of Hebron shares her vision of keeping the village charm while big tech moves in. Also creating more access to alternate modes of transportation. The new mobility plan rolling out from the capital city's Bike Plus plan. And finally,
because I've seen the potential, I've seen what it was, and I know what it could be.
businesses are back in Bronzeville. We look at the grassroots mission to bring back this once thriving Columbus neighborhood as the city grows. There's a lot to uncover this week in Boomtown, especially when it comes to what is happening with Intel and the surprising words from the president. Whether that's boom or bust, time will tell. But Central Ohio is forging ahead with new development, new levees, and new strategies to handle all the growth. So, here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. It is now the end of an era for Old Eastland Mall. Crews are working to demolish the former shopping center in Columbus and turn it into an economic center. And this week, the city announced the next step for Eastland. It's called the Eastland for Everyone Community Plan. This comprehensive vision and roadmap will help the future growth with a new plan called 8 Big Ideas. And we'll dive more into that a little later in today's episode of This Week in Boomtown. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Angela Ann. First, a few headlines for you. Let's move to Dublin. Saida High School is getting a $47 million makeover. Just look at these new renderings. The extra 60,000 square feet will include 24 additional classrooms, a bigger cafeteria, and new student support spaces.
It's a huge positive for us, but it doesn't come without its challenges in terms of, making sure that we have enough seats for students.
Dublin school officials say they plan to break ground by April 1st and have it completely done by August of next year. Also, growing Delaware County means another levy is on the books for voters in Genoa Township. The fire chief is hosting a station tour and a levy discussion on April 5th. Now, there are 2 follow-up dates later in the month, but this is all happening just weeks before the May 6th election. And voters in Brown Township have 2 months now to weigh a decision on a fire levy there. That money would support the Norwich Fire Department, which has served people west of Hilliard for decades. However, voters last approved a fire levy more than a decade ago. That was back in 2014. Since then, they have hired nearly 20 more firefighters, and the cost of firefighting has doubled.
You don't need it till you need it. If our fire service had to come from somewhere else, that could be the difference between someone still having a house and not.
The Norwich Fire Department will be hosting several informational sessions about the levy over the next couple of months. You can find more information by clicking on our website, 10tv.com. $7.8 billion. That is how much money is on the line for Intel's New Albany project after President Donald Trump said he wants to get rid of the CHIPS Act. Intel, of course, one of several projects benefiting from CHIPS Act money. So what happens if Intel loses that investment? Well, we spoke with the mayor of Johnstown, who says it could be a blow to future generations.
Without companies like this, children grow up, they go to college, they move to where the money is, where the jobs are. And if we're able to get chip manufacturing here in the Johnstown area, they don't have to go to California to do that type of work.
Well, this is the second setback for Intel in just 1 week. We learned of a second delay, taking Intel's opening date now to 2030 at the earliest instead of later this year. This delay means a longer wait for jobs promised to Licking County. And some other mayors in the county say this. They say the delay does buy them some time to get ready for the growth ahead.
The good is it gives us more time for planning. I think that we weren't prepared properly for this. The bad is I worry on behalf of the taxpayers in the whole county what the end result is going to be if this fails.
This is a much better opportunity now for us to get where we want to be aligned for our community.
And take a look at this new drone video from the construction site this week. You can see a lot of construction still underway. Intel saying that it will, of course, continue, but now at a slower pace. Well, now to the growth coming to Hebron. It's not far from the new Intel site, but about to become home to one of 3 massive Microsoft data centers. The plan here is to build 6 buildings on more than 200 acres just west of Ohio 79. So, what does the future of this village of less than 2,400 people look like? I spent the day with the mayor to find out what's at stake. Hebron, Ohio. A village established in 1835.
A photo, though, of the blacksmith shop that my great-great-grandpa had in the backyard here.
Filled with a charm that brought people like Valerie Mokus back to her hometown.
I absolutely remember being here.
Mokus is also the village mayor, a position that requires her to balance the growth while preserving the town's identity.
So in Hebron, when I grew up, everybody knew who you were. And if you misbehaved, they called your grandma and you got in trouble when you got home.
Mayor Mokus says her goal is to make sure Microsoft's massive development in this field keeps the American dream alive and not price out families as big developments move in and property values rise.
We have more mobile homes than we have apartments, and that plays out in the village of Hebron as well. And trying to think through how do we get folks into more permanent housing, something that is a real investment.
Which is why the mayor scrapped a previous development plan that would have grown the village population from 2,700 to tens of thousands.
We are now going through a process to correct that vision so we have a chance of remaining as a village, because every resident I speak to on the street is not interested in becoming a city. We're not competing with Heath, we're not competing with Newark. But having said that, we want to be intentional and make sure who we invite in really is a good fit.
And for Mokus, this vision plan is personal. Her family history dates back over a century, right down to the church that she bought and turned into her home.
My great-great-great-grandparents were stewards in this church. They cared for the church. He also was a street commissioner, whatever that meant back then. And so there's just a tremendous amount of history right here geographically on this soil, but also throughout the entire village.
Now to the revival of a beloved Near East Side neighborhood. We're talking about Bronzeville, a historically black neighborhood bordered by Broad Street, Taylor Avenue, I-670, and Jefferson Avenue. And like many neighborhoods in Columbus, it is growing at a rapid pace. But it is this neighborhood's history that makes this part of town so unique. 10 TV's Carla Rogner shares the vision leaders of Bronzeville want as this area grows.
It's the murals you see around Bronzeville, like these behind me here, that show the pride people have in this community. And it's this pride in the neighborhood's history that community leaders want to use to shape its future. On the edge of downtown Columbus is a neighborhood with a vibrant past, looking ahead to a vibrant future.
In Bronzeville, there's the oil, the plutonium, the uranium, the gold, the diamonds. Everything is right here. All you gotta do is dig for it.
The revitalization of the historically black neighborhood has become a passion project
right here
for Neighborhood Association President Willis Brown and historian Dana Mosner.
In the 60s, you'd have the Lincoln Theater. You would have had movies here several times a week. It would have been very active. You had the Empress Theater across the street. You had the Park Hotel, which was almost 5 stories here on the corner. All kinds of businesses on Long Street.
Bronzeville was hit hard in the late 50s and early 60s when construction of I-71 cut it off from downtown, and urban renewal led to neighborhood demolitions.
The people with the means, many of them left.
Then all the negative stuff just started to pour in. The drugs, the violence, all that kind of started to come in off and on. But it was still a thriving community.
Since the early 2000s, the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association has been working towards a renaissance, looking to improve infrastructure and draw more businesses to Long Street.
Years ago, when we started this process, I told Dana that we're going to be like the Short North. Dana said, no, we're going to be better than the Short North because we're at the front end and we are planning.
And progress is moving into town. 7 new high-rises bringing much-needed housing to the neighborhood, all built on vacant land.
Now, with these 7 structures in our neighborhood right now, is over $200 million in investment.
As they build towards the future,
it was unofficial, official city.
Mosner and Brown continue to work to tell the story of Bronzeville's past. What do you think when you see all the development, all the new buildings combined with the history of this neighborhood?
What I see that our future is bright.
The Neighborhood Association is hoping Bronzeville's next big project will be turning this parking lot across from the Lincoln Theater into a parking garage with apartments on top so more people can come explore what this neighborhood has to offer. Reporting in Bronzeville, Carla Rogner, 10 TV News.
Bright indeed. Thank you, Carla. Well, city leaders say given the history of Bronzeville, they want to make sure the future of transportation is accessible for everyone in Central Ohio. 10 TV has been following efforts to address the Bike Plus plan ever since it was announced. It will add nearly 500 miles of bikeways all across Columbus. 10 TV's Kristen McFarland now has all the details on a new shared mobility program that's about to roll out.
Taste of spring air has bikers rockin' and rollin'. For Jorge Corona, he relies heavily on using his bike to get around and is on board with the city's plans to add hundreds of miles of bikeways.
Not just gas consumption in vehicles, and also I think will be healthy for people riding bikes.
The city of Columbus aims to decrease dependency of cars.
You have a hard time finding any other place to park near where you're going. If they live around downtown, it will eliminate the need for a car.
Just up the road,
those are easy fixes. That's a tune-up? Yeah, bring it in.
Bingo Bikes is gearing up for more bikers on the roads.
People feel the warmth and they come directly, to a bike shop, to a sporting goods place.
As an experienced bike store owner,
not too knobby and it can go on highways and go on trails.
Douglas Work can feel the push for accessible transport growing in his city.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it keeps my customers safer. We've had some accidents around here with people on bikes and, teaching bike safety.
Housing construction troubles moving into the new year now. This week, the Building Industry Association reported Central Ohio continues to face a severe housing shortfall as new home construction in 2024 fell far below the region's annual need of nearly 19,000 homes. Well, you can see the difference by the numbers here. From market research firm Zonda, 19,000 homes again needed, but only 10,474 home permits were granted. That shows the huge gap between supply and demand. And other boomtown cities like Nashville, Raleigh, Indianapolis all outpaced Columbus's housing production last year. Well, this week, the city of Columbus is making another move to modernize zoning codes to allow more housing. And this is a story that we first told you when we launched our Boomtown series last fall. Current zoning codes are more than 70 years old. Columbus City Council is working to rezone sections of the capital city so the housing boom can be both strategic and equitable. So on Monday, March 10th, the city will introduce a new proposal to rezone portions of State Route 161 and East Dublin Granville. That's a corridor there, right in the heart of the Northland neighborhood. The city wants to rezone 165 parcels of land into mixed use. And if this is approved, there will be public comment for 60 days. Well, as we mentioned at the top of today's episode, an effort is underway to bring back the Eastland Mall area. And 10 TV's Tara Jabor went there to see what people think of the new 8 big ideas. Here's what she found.
Quay Barnes has called the East Side home for over 40 years.
The Eastland Mall area was the place to go to. It had everything that you ever needed, not only shopping, but entertainment.
But over the years, the East Side has changed. Less development, less investment, and less housing.
What happened to Eastland was Easton.
But Barnes says the people from the East Side have never abandoned it or stopped believing in its comeback.
An East Sider is a person that never gives up. We're also very independent people.
But now, an almost 300-page plan will write the future of the East Side. The plan covers everything from housing to retail, jobs, education, and community.
It has been a 16-month process that was led by our office, but it was driven by the community. So we had over 1,800 participants over a 16-month time.
For Barnes, the plan is something that she has been waiting for a long time.
I wanted to return to being the place that it used to be, the place that everyone wanted to come to.
And now to Fairfield County, where new developments are going up. It's all part of meeting people where they are and addressing the need for affordable senior homes. $300 million of development is happening in Lancaster, and that includes apartments, single-family homes, senior condos, and downtown living spaces. Now, according to the mayor of Lancaster, the city has 616 single-family homes right now under construction, 842 market-rate apartments, and 645 affordable housing apartments. All of this will be completed in the near future. The mayor says a majority of the affordable housing projects are developer financed with state, local, and federal dollars.
Because of these incentives, they have to provide affordable housing. It's a way of sharing that responsibility and helping people into homes they otherwise wouldn't be able to afford.
And take a look at this map. It shows you where the current construction is happening there in Lancaster, and the need for more housing is quite the concern. The Building Industry Association reporting that Fairfield County needs upwards of 947 housing units a year just to keep up with the growth. And we leave you today with this. We are seeing for the first time what the new Bogey Inn will look like in Dublin. The developer says it is transforming this watering hole into a one-of-a-kind indoor-outdoor entertainment campus. And instead of a 27-hole putting course, guess what, friends? It is now 36. You're going to find real greens along with a food hall. Construction already underway with an opening date of next summer in 2026. Maybe a few holes in ones right there. Well, we do want to hear from you. If you have questions about Central Ohio's rapid growth, or maybe you want us to look into something for you, just send a text with your questions to this number, 614-460-3345. And if you want to watch why we created the Boomtown series in the first place, be sure to catch our original show, Welcome to Boomtown. It's streaming all the time on 10 TV+. I'm Angela Ann, and thank you for watching This Week in Boomtown.